What if your next computer wasn't built from silicon, but from something alive? No, this isn't science fiction. Right now, researchers are training real human brain cells to play video games and learn just like we do. It's called biocomputing, and it's flipping everything we thought we knew about artificial intelligence. These aren't AI systems trying to copy a brain. They are brains, grown in labs wired to circuits and learning from scratch. You are watching SciQuest, and today we're diving into one of the strangest, most exciting frontiers in science, the rise of living computers. So, what exactly is a biocomputer? At its core, a biocomputer is a computer that uses living brain cells, usually human neurons, to process information instead of circuits and microchips. That means instead of just simulating a brain like traditional AI does, these machines are literally built with brain cells. The cells are grown in a lab and placed on something called a multi-electrode array, or MEA chip, which acts like a digital playground for the neurons, letting them send and receive electrical signals. That's where the magic happens. These cells can actually respond, adapt, and learn, just like the neurons inside your own head. In a way, biocomputers are brains, tiny simplified ones, living in a dish and connected to technology. This isn't theory. Companies like Cortical Labs in Australia and FinalSpark in Switzerland are already building these systems today. Cortical Labs makes the CL1, a computer powered by living human neurons, and they even taught it how to play Pong. A full rack of CL1 units runs on just 850 to 1000 watts, a fraction of the power traditional servers use. Meanwhile, FinalSpark rents out brain organoids for cloud-based research. It's like cloud computing but with actual brain matter. Their Neuroplatform lets approved researchers interact with live neurons remotely and even run real-time simulations, like a virtual butterfly flight powered by brain organoids. Bottom line, biocomputers don't run on code alone. They learn, evolve, and adapt on their own, and that changes everything. You might be wondering, if we already have super powerful computers, why go through all the trouble of growing brain cells in a dish? Simple. We're trying to build something smarter than us, and we're running out of ways to do it. Right now, tech companies are locked in a global race to build AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, a system that can think, learn, and reason like a human without needing constant guidance. But we already have general intelligence, and it's biological. That's why some researchers argue, instead of trying to mimic the brain using massive machines, why not just start with real neurons? Because our brains aren't just smart, they're ridiculously efficient. The Frontier supercomputer does a quintillion calculations per second, but it weighs 260 tons, covers 7,300 square feet, and costs $600 million, 0 cents. Your brain, by comparison, fits in your head, runs on 20 watts, and delivers similar performance. Biocomputers like the CL1 aim to match that. In a petri dish, FinalSpark systems consume up to 1 million times less energy than digital processors. And there's another reason: sustainability. Generative AI consumes enormous resources: power, water, chips, land, and some data centers use millions of gallons of water daily. OpenAI's Sam Altman even said, "We don't yet appreciate how much energy this technology will require." FinalSpark believes their neuron-based systems could cut energy use by 1,000 times, making their carbon footprint almost invisible. So when we ask, why build a biocomputer? The better question is, why wouldn't we? So how do you build a computer out of brain cells? It starts with something ordinary, like a skin cell. Scientists collect a skin or blood sample from a donor and rewind those cells back to a blank stem cell-like state. These are called induced pluripotent stem cells, or iPSCs. With careful gene reprogramming, they are guided to become neural progenitor cells, baby neurons. After several weeks of incubation and tweaking, They mature into real neurons and are placed on a multi-electrode array chip, a tiny grid that sends and receives electrical signals. Once connected, the neurons begin to learn. At Cortical Labs, researchers trained a system called DishBrain to play Pong. When the neurons missed the ball, they got unpleasant feedback. When they hit it, they got a smooth signal. Over time, they improved. No code, just pure biological adaptation. Researchers also use organoids, small, 3D brain-like structures grown from stem cells. These aren't full brains, they're just a few millimeters wide, with around 5 million. For comparison, the human brain has about 86 billion, so these systems are limited but very real. And recently, scientists at MIT discovered a shortcut, converting skin cells directly into neurons, skipping the stem cell phase entirely. That could make biocomputing faster and cheaper than ever. Now for the big question, can these systems actually think? The short answer is not yet, and probably not anytime soon. Brain organoids aren't conscious. They don't have feelings, memories, or awareness. They're small, simple networks. Nowhere near what's found in animals. In fact, they're not even at the level of a fruit fly. As Dr. Churchepper put it, we're not even at insect-level intelligence. No disrespect to the fruit fly, but that doesn't mean the question goes away. As these systems grow more complex, how will we know if one becomes aware? That's why Cortical Labs launched a public survey asking what you think consciousness actually means. Is it awareness, emotions, selfhood? We don't have clear definitions even today, so no, we don't need an emergency shutdown button. But we do need to keep asking the right questions while we still have time to answer them. This might all sound futuristic, but biocomputers are already being used. In medical research, scientists are using brain organoids to model diseases like Alzheimer's, epilepsy, and Parkinson's. They test drugs on living human neurons, ethically and efficiently, helping to reduce the need for animal testing. Meanwhile, DishBrain is proving that neurons can adapt and learn inside virtual environments. It's not just a demo, it's a proof of concept. And if you're a researcher, here's the exciting part, you can access these systems remotely. FinalSpark offers cloud-based neuron access. Researchers can send inputs, monitor responses, and run experiments from anywhere. They even live stream some neurons online. Yes, you can literally watch living cells fire in real time. They also built a 3D visualizer called the Butterfly, which shows neuron activity as a living, moving simulation, where neuron clusters actually direct the simulation's behavior. Researchers like Dr. Kyle Wedgwood and Dr. Tjeerd Schepper are already using these platforms to explore how neuron networks store memory and make decisions. This is no longer science fiction, it's happening right now. So where's all of this heading? Some researchers believe we're standing at the beginning of a new era, one they call SBI, or Synthetic Biological Intelligence. This isn't artificial intelligence trying to replicate us. This is biological intelligence, built and grown from living cells. But before we imagine brain-powered smartphones, let's be clear, biocomputers aren't about to replace your laptop or data center anytime soon. They're still slow, fragile, and expensive, but what they lack in speed, they make up for in something silicon struggles with: adaptability, efficiency, and learning at a cellular level. That's why many scientists see biocomputers not as a replacement for traditional AI, but as a new category altogether, a complement, not a competitor. And it's not the only game-changing technology in the works. Biocomputing is rising alongside other frontier tech, like quantum computing, which manipulates qubits for ultra-fast problem-solving, and neuromorphic hardware, which mimics how our brains physically process information. Some even point to the quiet return of analog computing, optimized for energy efficiency. Each one is exploring a different question: what comes after silicon? So where is biocomputing right now? On NASA's technology readiness scale, where 1 is theory and 9 is full-scale deployment, biocomputing is somewhere around a 3 or 4. It works in the lab, it has real-world applications, but we're still figuring out how far it can go. And that's the exciting part. Like the earliest semiconductors or the first clunky web browsers, the CL1 and FinalSpark's Neuroplatform are just the beginning. We may not know exactly where this leads, but we do know one thing: the future of computing is no longer just digital, it's biological. So let's bring it all together. Biocomputers are real. They use living human neurons not to simulate intelligence, but to actually learn and adapt. They're incredibly efficient, using up to 1 million times less energy than traditional digital processors. And while they're still in early development, platforms like Cortical Labs' CL1 and FinalSpark's Neuroplatform are already showing us what's possible. This isn't just about replacing machines, it's about rethinking what it means to compute. All right, now it's your turn. Would you trust a living brain, even a tiny one in a petri dish, to control your smart home? Could biocomputing be the missing piece that finally unlocks true artificial general intelligence? Or is this a step too far into the unknown? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let's talk about it.